The new year, and we're on Tobacco Road, where there's a different energy to open up MEAC play. The start of the conference season, brand new for North Carolina Central. McClendon Arena. And we say hello and good afternoon alongside Jet Williams, Matt Martucci. Well, we talked to North Carolina Central head coach Lavelle Moton yesterday. What did he tell us about the start of conference play? Just a little bit different.
It's a lot different, and the reason being is because you have a battle between 8 dogs battling for one bone in this conference. This is a single conference, single bid conference in the NCAA tournament, and so you will see the sense of urgency between all the teams, especially when they're battling at home. Yeah,
the Wolf on the hill, not as hungry as the Wolf climbing the hill as we take a look at the preseason poll. North Carolina Central, last of the NCAA tournament 2019. Howard was just there a year ago.
Yeah, Howard understands what it takes to win championships now, but North Carolina Central has done that for years in past, and so it should be a great battle between two teams trying to vie for that supremacy this year.
Leon Sandiford, Keith Bennett, Gabe Hall are officials this afternoon as the first of what is 2 meetings this year for these two. Split the season series a year ago, and we're underway. And Howard, the defending MEAC tournament champion, starting with the basketball.
And both of these teams are dealing with roster changes every single game due to injuries, due to all the things that come with the hustle and bustle of a season. And so we might not see them at full strength until the end of February.
Our Capital One starting lineups. Marcus Dockery, the preseason All-MEAC selection. Seth Towns, 26 years old in what is his 8th year of college basketball, granted a waiver. And along with Bryce Harris, those really the 3 to watch for the Bison, who would have had their starting 5 back, Jet Williams, from a season ago. As we take a look at the starting lineups for North Carolina Central, Fred Cleveland Jr., one of the top scorers in the MEAC at under 16 a game, and Po Boy King, another good one.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Fred Cleveland Jr. get after it. He's a small guard, but has the ability to make big plays for the Eagles.
North Carolina Central and Lavelle Moton celebrating before the game. All-time winningest coach now in the history of the program. Ended up passing Floyd Brown. So most games coached and all-time wins.
And Coach Moton's history of success is due to his culture that he has established, a tough, gritty basketball, of his guys coming in and leaving better men because of the culture that he has established.
From the triangle himself, we'll talk a lot today about his work in the community. 8 to shoot here for Towns and Howard. Ball reversal stops with Okaji. And Bryce Harris trying for the offensive rebound, will stay down at this end. And on the bench for Howard, fresh off their first NCAA tournament appearance in over 3 decades, the former Duke guard Kenneth Blakeney, who played for Mike Krzyzewski and has quite a pedigree in terms of who he came up under.
Absolutely, Coach Blakeney is a winner and has been trusted to establish a culture that it can win for years on out.
Catch and shoot for King. And that possession rescued by Devin Gordon, the Mississippi Valley State transfer for North Carolina Central.
Yeah, you can see Po Boy King is a little disoriented from that blow he took to the eye there. Didn't know what side of the floor he was on for a second.
Gordon here late in the clock. Another offensive rebound. And another transfer, Manny Azunabor from the Big South and High Point.
Speaking of offensive rebounds, this game is going to come down to that. That team that can create more possessions will be able to get into an offensive rhythm and score the ball more likely.
J.D. Harris, shot clock didn't reset, didn't matter.
And right on cue there, I mean, J.D. Harris just showing his ability. That opening comes from him being able to get that second chance point. So you see there, offensive rebound from Azunabor. The ball goes out, and that's going to be a wide open 3 because the defense collapsed trying to get the rebound.
19th made 3 of the year for Jadarius Harris, who's stepping into a new role this year for North Carolina Central as one of their top scorers.
And he's had to. Him and Fred Cleveland Jr., 2 of the returners, but not starters, that didn't provide a ton of offensive circulation for the Eagles last year, have had to step up to the call as some of the players that decided to stay.
Major force there for Seth Towns. That's what North Carolina Central does. They make it tough for you from the perimeter.
Well, you got a team that shoots the three ball very well in Howard. They're one of the top three-point shooting teams in the nation versus one of the top three-point defenses in the nation.
A couple of teams that split a year ago. Howard won at the Burr. In the new year, as Harris off to a good start, rattles home for what's the first 5 points.
And Jadarius Harris just shows his ability to be a three-level scorer. One thing that we haven't seen yet is his downhill ability and the ability to finish with contact.
Finishing the thought, speaking of finish, 8-point win for North Carolina Central here at McDougal-McClendon last year. That was later in the season.
Yeah, and honestly, that is when, you know, North Carolina Central, I don't think there was expectations for them to come out with a win over Howard here, but things are different, like we talked about in the MEAC, where you got, you know, 8 teams like going after it, and home court advantage matters.
Howard on the board with the Maryland trades for Marcus Dockery.
Yeah, Marcus Dockery is a competitor. You see the emotion on his face. He wants to win this game, and he understands what it takes to do that, being on that championship team last year.
Has averaged 22 in his last 3, one of the most competitive players in the MEAC.
Well, he's had to do that. He's had to take on a more of an offensive role because of the change of rosters in this Howard Bison program.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even necessarily about what's on the floor for the Bison. It's about what they lost. Kenneth Blakeney thought that they would have all 5 starters back. And then after their end-of-season meetings, this is Zunabor able to drop this in, +1. But changing the landscape, 3 of his guys told him, hey, we're going somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's just the landscape of college basketball now, where based on success, you can make moves after that. You see there, Zunabor. He's going to get a lot of touches, especially if Fred Cleveland Jr. can get into the paint. And he does a really good job of manipulating ball screens, and once he gets downhill, he can create for himself as well as his teammates.
Hey, excuse me, they called that on the floor. So Marcus Dockery hit with that personal. Zone look for the Bison. Gordon trying to break it. Timer inside 10. Good cut by King. And left it 1 and done. Here comes Howard. And the law school student, Joshua Strong.
Strongest has the green light to and serves as a floor spreader for the Howard Bison.
Right idea there for Bryce Harris. Batted it out of bounds. And both meetings last year decided by less than 10 points. Don't think we're going to have anything different. Just getting rolling in Durham. Their players just about after every season. Some gut punches in the transfer portal. Justin Wright, one of the top offensive options for North Carolina Central, out in the West Coast Conference now. And we said before, 3 of the 5 starters from a year ago for Kenny Blakeney somewhere else. Jordan Wood on a good Tulane team. Elijah Hawkins leading the nation in assists, and Steve Settle starting for Adam Fisher at Temple.
Well, a lot of teams will struggle in the transfer portal, but especially HBCUs. And they have the unique ability to pull diamonds out of the rough, guys that people didn't want to take a chance on. That's something that Lavelle Moten and Coach Blakeney both have done, have found those diamonds in the rough, established them, developed them, created great basketball players. And then when you put all that effort in and you lose them, it's heartbreaking to your program. But these guys really know how to coach the game of basketball and have great systems and have found a way to continue to play efficient basketball, even with depleted rosters every single year.
And Kenny Blakeney missing Shai Odom today, dealing with a back injury. The MEAC Rookie of the Year from a year ago. He's in the building, but is dealing with a back issue, is now missing his 3rd straight game.
Yeah, and Shai Odom is such an impactful player, especially out of the Princeton offense that Howard runs, and they make it really difficult for you, especially because they have high IQ forwards.
Central trying to go over the top of the zone.
And that zone's been working so far for Howard, and really make Central's offense stagnant.
Both of these coaches still working on combinations, even after the new year. And nice little high-low to Bryce Harris, who's one of those 10 players averaging over 10 minutes a game, one of the top scorers in the MEAC at over 14 points a game.
Bryce Harris continually getting better every year, but the reason being is just because he knows the system. And this is what happens when you stick around sometimes. I mean, you can understand exactly what the coach wants and how to score within that system and play high percentage basketball, and that's what he's been doing.
Swarming zone for the Bison forces Cleveland into taking the deep three.
Yeah, and you got to think about this. Most teams, when they're practicing their shots, is within the scope of their offense. And usually their offense is against man-to-man defense, and so it's really hard for Central to get themselves into a rhythm because of that zone.
Other end here for Howard. Campbell running the pick and roll successfully, and a blocking foul.
Yeah, you see there, you got to make sure that your feet are established early. And that's one thing, a rule that referees are going to be emphasizing, making sure that you're there early before the defender or before the offensive player takes off.
First team foul on North Carolina Central. Never any shortage of emotion when you watch Lavelle Moten coach. Just telling Manny Azunabor exactly how he felt about that last defensive possession. And the High Point transfer gets a seat on the bench.
Well, it means more when this is your alma mater. There's, like, you're 10 toes down. Lavelle Moten is a 10 toes down guy. I mean, he could have left several times, but decided to stay because of what this campus, what this college means to him. And so when you, I like to say, disrespect the brand, he's going to make sure he lets you know that you did that.
Good ball rotation. It stops with Harris. Second triple of the afternoon.
And that started with what Central does really well is they get the ball to the middle of the floor, implode the defense. Now there's a penetrating pitch action, and Jadarius Harris is open on the wing for the three.
Going with the theme, J.D. Harris averaging 18 points over his last 4. Has all 8 now for North Carolina Central. That was after Howard ended up scoring 6 straight. Towns gets stripped here.
It's great defense from poor boy King.
Cleveland running the floor. King off the window.
Yeah, Fred Cleveland with the binoculars on, just finding po' boy King for the fast break lay.
Second largest lead of this early first half here for Central. Won 18 games a year ago under Lavelle Moten, but the last 3 years, Howard last year and then Norfolk State the 2 before. Nice footwork for Campbell with the jump hook.
Yeah, you can see the Central bench is in an uproar talking about his landing. So his pivot foot was established because he didn't land on 2. He landed on 1, then the other, and then he picked up that pivot foot. And so that is what Lavelle Moten is harping about right now.
Every now and then, maybe you make a good basketball play, you get an extra step.
Yeah.
King stepping in. His first triple of the afternoon.
I love po' boy King's game. I mean, he can score it at all 3 levels and really shifty, capable of getting to the middle of the floor.
Towns at this end. Missed everything but the glass. Harris already off to a good start. Cleveland, one more pass. King off the bounce in the mid-range.
And we just talked about it, 3 levels. Not only can he shoot the 3, but he can get to that midi at will.
Largest lead of this early afternoon for North Carolina Central. Timeout for Kenny Blakeney. All Eagles using both ends of the floor, Jen.
And you see it, that defense leading the offense for the Eagles. When they get that, they get out in the open floor, and it's a track meet at that point. Moving the ball, Fred Cleveland to po' boy King for the lay.
Joy. Back come and gone. Jet Williams, Matt Martucci. Who do you have Monday night?
I've got Michigan. I'm all about the physicality and grittiness. Pressure bust pipes, baby.
I'm going with Washington. Michael Penix Jr. Too much offense for the Huskies. That's what I'm going to say.
I disagree, but hey, we'll see in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Already off to a start with plenty of offense here for North Carolina Central. 7-point lead. And and ended up jumping out. What was 5-0. Howard, like we said, depleted roster, missing a couple of guys. Our colleague, by the way, Tom Crean at ESPN, not going to be too happy that I picked against his brother-in-law, Jim Harbaugh.
He's got to deal with it, but, you know, hey, I'm disappointed in your pick, too. But at the same time, you know, you understand, like, the offensive firepower of Washington can really make guys think. But, hey, I'm telling you right now, Michigan has that grinded-out type of play, and I don't know if they can withstand that for an entire game.
I forget, did you play wideout in high school?
I did, and I got hit extremely hard. Nothing makes basketball players more than playing football.
Getting hit on the football field.
I'm telling you right now, everybody here had dreams, and then they came to realization that life comes at you hard.
That's why I only played senior year, buddy. Tend to shoot here for Okaji. Nice tap by Dom Campbell. Harris hard off the window.
Howard doing a really good job of continuing the battle on the boards. They're understanding right now they're not shooting the ball as well as they'd like. So they're going to have to get it from the mud and battle on the boards and see if they can create more opportunities for themselves.
Fourth field goal for the Bison by the way of Harris. Oh boy, King and J.D. Harris at this end. Running the show. Stepped on the sideline. So what's the third Eagles turnover? And LaVelle Moulton told us you're going to see guys doing things first game of conference play that you wouldn't see in non-conference. Doesn't even really bother to go back and watch previous games, you know, for the team they're playing against if they're non-conference games.
And it makes sense, I mean, because when you look at non-conference games, it's preparation for conference play. And when you are in a single bid conference, all stakes are at an all-time high. And so these teams now are going to be diving on the floor, attacking. And you see there, playing with emotion.
7 now for the Notre Dame transfer, Dom Campbell, who they're glad to have back for the second straight game.
Dom Campbell has the unique ability to play inside and out. I mean, a lot of people have compared him to Kenny Lofton Jr. because of his abilities to create.
Well, as somebody who still roots for and grew up rooting for the Philadelphia 76ers, I'll take that Kenny Lofton Jr. comparison.
There you go.
Got him in the G now.
Yeah, yeah. And you see there, the understanding of rebounding the ball is going to create so many opportunities, whether it's sending you to the free throw line or knocking down an open shot.
The Vermont transfer, Perry Smith Jr. off target on the first one. More big games highlighting our January lineup. NFL Week 18 season finale features a Saturday doubleheader. Steelers, Ravens, then Texans, Colts. The FCS title game between Montana, South Dakota State tomorrow on ABC. And then Monday night, the national championship game presented by AT&T. Number 1 Michigan, number 2 Washington, with coverage on every platform, TV, radio, and digital. So you really think that Michigan has enough, huh?
Listen, like, I wish the camera would have showed my feet, all right? That would have told you everything I was. I'm 10 toes down with Michigan as well. Like, listen, you lose, you lose. I mean, Washington has the capability of beating them, but I just think that toughness and that grittiness is going to wear down Washington.
Offense isn't going to travel, huh?
I don't think it is. Not as long as they can play the run game like they're capable of. I think it can be a winning effort for Michigan.
Late clock 3, got it off in time. Did Thomas Weaver, and there's Campbell with the offensive glass.
We talked about it. Those boards mean everything. You can win the boards, you can win possessions. You win possessions, you usually win the game, as long as you can convert.
9 of the 15 Howard points by way of Dom Campbell. Bison back to this as a 1-point game. King got hit, and that's going to be a foul on Towns. 3 free throws coming.
And that's one thing that Central does really well. They have a ton of offensive sets that put defenses in conflict. There's a ton of movement. And right there, you saw that movement was able to get Po Boy King open for a three, and Seth Towns was in recovery mode and fouled him.
Po Boy King, who's a local kid from the greater Raleigh area, Word of God Christian Academy.
Well, yeah.
Was a Philly kid in terms of JUCO, Harcum College.
Yeah, Po Boy King. I remember him. He went to my alma mater. I was at Word of God as well at one point, and you know, they have produced some fantastic basketball players.
When he played AAU for Rasheed Wallace's program. Sheed in the house today.
She is in the house. On the wall, stoic. He might get a tech today.
Only a couple years down the road at Chapel Hill in terms of Rasheed's college career. As King takes care of the free throws. Some memorable ones with he and Jerry Stackhouse, and
gosh, that was a fun time to be alive.
Jeff McInnes.
Oh my goodness. That was showtime.
Yeah, it was.
That was showtime.
They just couldn't stay the 4 years.
Why would they?
Why would they?
Look at that bread, man.
Yeah, you're right, buddy.
If they had the NIL, though, we would have got more college basketball.
That's right. There would have been more Rasheed Wallace
got that NIL earlier.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Imagine getting Vince Carter for 4 years.
They almost did.
Almost did.
Stepped on the baseline here. Keyshawn Porter, the JUCO transfer. Fourth North Carolina Central turnover.
Keyshawn Porter, I love his game and his athletic ability to play. He can play inside out as well, can knock down and toe to the line three, but also put it on the deck and create. Right there, though, struggling with Howard's defensive sets, especially in that matchup zone, really making it tough for you to actually get yourself in any type of continuity. And that's what, when offenses are at their best, when they have continuity, and that zone disrupts it and makes offenses stagnant.
Good ball rotation here. Okaji, they pulled the chair on him. And shot clock didn't reset. Violation on Howard. Third Bison turnover.
And Okaji is saying that the ball touched the rim when he went up for that first layup.
I don't think it did.
I didn't think it did. I think it was scratching the surface of that corner, but in that chaos, you know, hey, you got to fight the fight.
Let's see.
Yeah. See if he got a... Nah, that didn't touch nothing. Hey, I'd fight that fight too, though. Hey, ref.
It's almost February, Academy Awards season. You have to sell what you can.
I'm selling everything.
Nice find. Porter steps in. Another one and done for the Eagles. J.D. Harris and Po Boy King so far have all three of their threes. Dockery really yet to get going himself. Biggest perimeter threat in this conference.
Well, that is because Central has done a really good job of marking him. Whenever he gets the ball, he has had trouble.
Now they haven't marked Dom Campbell. Able to touch it off. Got it to hit the heel and fall.
And Dom Campbell doing a fantastic job on the boards, making sure that if help side does come over, he is on the weak side to clean up.
You think he was excited for MEAC play? His career high is 13. He has 11 in his first MEAC game in the first half.
Absolutely. I just think that Coach Blakeney's happy that he is out here on the floor. He's been plagued with injuries to start the season, and you're starting to get him healthy at the right time.
Cleveland, really tough shot, called glass, weekend deposit.
Fred Cleveland Jr. And we talked about it, stepping up into that leadership role of being the guy on the team that can provide scoring and offensive firepower, especially when the shot clock is down.
Hey, some banks are open until 1 o'clock on Saturdays.
Hey, yeah, I mean, and we know him. We're just not, we didn't get the NIL from him.
Adediri. And the walk-on, feeding off the energy from Cleveland.
And Adediri, obviously, you see Central being at their best when they run the floor, and that was a high percentage shot for them.
Little whirling dervish for Okaji. He draws contact. It will be on the line when we return. And North Carolina Central, not known for its perimeter game necessarily, have it going today.
But when you can run the floor like they have been, they've been able to get that ball in the basket from the perimeter. It's because Central has done a really good job of getting to the middle of the floor, as you've seen so far, but they've also gotten the open floor and created high percentage shots for themselves. And Po Boy King and J.D. Harris have been on the receiving end of that system that Coach LaBelle Moton has instilled.
Had 17 of the first 18 points before what was back-to-back threes from Fred Cleveland and Timmy Adediri. Po Boy King, everybody always wonders where the name came from. His dad's friend Po Charlie. They took the first part of the name. So Po Boy, spelled capital P-O apostrophe capital B-O-I-G-H.
That's fantastic. And we found out his middle name too, and it's pronounced Izza. So if you put it all together, Po Boy Izza King. I love it.
He's looked like one today.
Shout out to Po Boy's
Super Tuesday
parents.
basketball doubleheader. Antonio Reeves at number 6 Kentucky host Missouri at Rupp Arena 7 Eastern. Then this one should be a battle with a big man. Kyle Filipowski, number 14 Duke, taking on Blake Hinson at Pittsburgh. Both games over on ESPN and the app. Well, it's basically a given. John Calipari going to have some of the best freshmen in the country.
He's been doing that for years. He's been ahead of the game.
So much so that it's like living in a time machine. DeJuan Wagner's son, DJ.
I know.
Now part of his core.
It's like a full circle thing now, man.
3 to shoot here for Fred Cleveland and North Carolina Central. Tough shot. Nearly got it to go, and Azunabor pushed off to get that rebound.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that looked way too easy for Azunabor to just collect that rebound. I was like, it's never that easy. If I'm a ref, I'm calling that too. And you see there, oh yeah, pulled that arm back.
It's usually, well, at least I guess it's with when it gets a little more physical. They see the second guy.
Yes. Somebody established something.
Either way, good start for North Carolina Central. Led by 7 2 different times. Joshua Strong and may have gotten bailed out there. Cleveland whistled for the foul call.
Yeah, and that's always disheartening when you are North Carolina Central and you play pretty much, 28 seconds of great defense, and then all of a sudden, that looked like all ball there. I'm not even going to lie to you. But at that point, just play them vertical.
Brings the Division II transfer from Minnesota Duluth, Joshua Strong, to the line. And one of the more unique situations in college basketball. Only two total players, I should say, in law school. 2 years was all it took him to get his undergraduate diploma. He came in with 58 credits from high school.
Wow, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, the guy is obviously an academic savant and can find ways to compartmentalize his time to be able to, get in the time and work to get that stuff done.
Well, from torts to forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
He just forced that one right there.
Yeah, I mean, just being smart, being in the right place at the right time.
I object to this possession, John Williams.
Overruled.
Leading the witness. Here's Strong. Okaji with the shot clock cut in half. Excellent perimeter D, and not to be surprised by that. North Carolina Central, top 20 in the country in three-point percentage defense. Towns challenging, lost the battle. Harry Smith Jr. got the block. Here comes Fred Cleveland. King punched off the glass. The athletic ability of Okaji, but Smith stayed with it.
And that all started from the defensive prowess from North Carolina Central, protecting the three-point line, but then also protecting the paint. and they were able to get out in the open floor and get an easy basket from it.
8-second chance points now. Towns rattles home the triple. Intensity turning up. Not
Absolutely.
that we needed any more of it.
Yeah, you're seeing both of these teams really get after it here and do what they do best. I mean, Howard is a team that can really score in a high clip. Even in the half court, they can get to the 80s. And so Central is a team that likes to run the floor. So you'll see a half court team versus a full court team.
Adediri, not known for his three-point prowess, has a couple of them today.
You said, I am today, sir. Today, sir, if you're going to give me that, I'm going to take that.
Had only one coming in all season on 5 attempts, 2 already today. And foul at this end on Central. It will go on Po Boy King.
And you can see, like North Carolina Central, their identity is gritty basketball, being overly physical there with Seth Towns and getting him out of a rhythm. See here, Central on the open floor. Po Boy King gets blocked, but you see here, Perry Smith showing his ability to finish at the basket with the left.
Yeah, energy has definitely been there both ends of the floor, and here it is again. Smith might have traveled there, got it to Cleveland, and J.D. Harris with the finish.
J.D. Harris putting the ball with just enough English to get over the board before the defense came and blocked the shot.
Looked like a little three-man weave in practice there.
It did, and they do a lot of that here at Central.
10 down for Harris. Dockery in and out of the mid-range. Adediri able to clean up the rebound. New largest lead for Central. Cleveland trying to make it double digits. Smith will.
Perry Smith really implementing himself in this game by attacking the glass and creating second chance points. This is the second time we've seen this in a short amount of time.
Towns with the shot clock cut in half. Okaji. Tough offensive rebound try. And Miles Stewart tied up. Now J.D. Harris pushing North Carolina Central to a double-digit lead. We'll talk about it when we come back. He plays for more than just himself. He plays for two.
HB's
Portal in terms of adversity, what North Carolina Central's had to deal with. The passing of what would have been one of their top players this year in Devin Butts was in a workout May 1st at this very gym, Jet Williams, and ended up collapsing and spent 4 days in the hospital. And his teammate, Jadarius Harris, made the decision. He and Butts and Fred Cleveland, the best of friends, said, I want to wear 52, coach. And Lavelle Moten turned to him and said, you need to realize, young man, that if you're going to wear that, you don't represent you, just you represent him as well. And when his parents will look at you, you know, they're looking at somebody that's playing for the honor of their son, the reputation of their son.
Absolutely, and you see how hard Jadarius Harris has played every game that he has played, because you've seen him too also tap his numbers just to talk to himself at times, to get himself motivated and know that he is playing for something bigger than just himself, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
As Strong misses this three here for Howard, and Lavelle Moten knew from personal experience, ended up having a friend in high school that collapsed on a court in Myrtle Beach. His name was Vic Harris. They were able to get him to a hospital and eventually revive him, but he couldn't play basketball anymore as a result. And Lavelle Moten said to him, hey, I want to wear your jersey. And Vic Harris apparently told him, you know, just remember, you know, unless you're going to play like me with the same fire and energy and emotion, don't do it.
Yeah, you have to hold it down. And so, as you can see, I mean, you've seen a push and a resurgence in Jadarius Harris and how he has played the game, and reason being why he's one of the leading scorers on this team.
Here's his running mate, Fred Cleveland, everything but the finish. Campbell able to knock the rebound to Bryce Harris.
You can see Lavelle Moulton really wanted that shot to go down for Fred Cleveland Jr. And the reason being is because you do not want to let Howard stick around in this game. They have been down before. They're accustomed to it and get better as the game progresses and understand the system. And so you want to take advantage of any opportunity that you can to expand this lead.
Largest lead here of this early afternoon. And Lavelle Moulton wanting to talk things over. Double digits for the host Eagles. Opening up MEAC play and looking good doing it.
Oh my God, it actually...
What a time to be alive where you can see SEC, ACC women's basketball all in one day.
Camila Cardoso and her teammates have it rolling right now for South Carolina. 13-0 to start the year.
Absolutely. One of the more balanced South Carolina teams I've seen in a long time.
And, of course, coached by the pride of Dobbins Tech and Philadelphia, PA, Dawn Staley.
I knew you were going to shout that out. I knew you were. That's why I didn't say anything. I was like, let me let you get done.
Have to take care of our own, buddy.
I know.
Tough catch in traffic for Perry Smith Jr. And out of bounds off of Central. Sixth Eagles turnover. That's about all that's gone wrong, though. Opened up 48% from the half of the field. Knocked down 6 threes.
Yeah, right there. Fred Cleveland Jr. saw Perry Smith and thought that he would be open off of that roll, but his shake man was also open on the opposite wing, and that's one of those situations that you got to make at a split decision and can be hard.
It's been all Dom Campbell for Howard. And they go to him again. One more pass. Harris able to get that to stick.
And that was all Dom Campbell in the short roll.
Double-digit lead for Lavelle Moulton and North Carolina Central. One more look.
Yeah, Dom Campbell in the short roll.
And J.D. Harris, big first half on the North Carolina Central side. 6 made threes for the Eagles. As he and Po Boy King combining for 21 of the 35. Dom Campbell perfect from the field in just his second game back. Has dealt with multiple injuries this year for Howard. Only the third time, by the way, this season that the Bison have been held under 40% from the field in the first half.
That is due to the defensive prowess of North Carolina Central, but the offensive efficiency from Harris and King as a separator for the lead right now.
Cleveland off the curl from right in front of his bench. Campbell and Harris combining for 17, trying to get Towns going in and out for the former Ivy Player of the Year. And a foul on Dom Campbell here for Howard.
That's the thing. Players like Seth Towns and Marcus Dockery have not been able to get themselves going, and they are usually the offensive bright spots for the Howard Bison, and a lot of that is through their ability to shoot the three. And we talked about Central putting a point of emphasis to be one of those teams that always defend the three, make you put the ball on the deck and run into help side defense and make tough twos. It's tough for Howard right now to get in the offensive circulation.
Well, to your point on Marcus Dockery, as they set up King here, and sent back by Harris. Dockery at the controls. Only 3 shots last year here, and was 1 for 3. Today he's 1 for 4. Just having a tough time getting established the way they run guys off the line. Shot clock cut in half. Great find. Campbell to Bryce Harris.
You see that in order for Howard to get themselves back in this game, their defense is going to have to lead to them getting more offensive possessions. And it started there with that Bryce Harris beat on the boards there.
8th 2-point bucket for the leading 3-point shooting team in the conference. Azunabor couldn't finish at this end. Is this the start of something for the Bison?
We talked about Howard. I mean, they've done a good job, and they have been in the position of being down in the past. I mean, they played in 3 overtime games already.
Harris spun that in after getting that rebound and won.
And you see Bryce Harris working like a madman on both ends of the floor.
There were 2 spins on that play.
Absolutely. You saw it. It was a fake spin, the faux spin. Oh, you got me. And then he gave another one before that to get himself positioning to get that second chance point.
Spin to get the rebound and then spun the basketball.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Spin cycle.
3 the old-fashioned way for Harris. He and Campbell have combined for 22 of the Howard 30, but Campbell picks up a cheap one here. Second one on the Notre Dame transfer.
You've seen Howard take it up a notch regarding their defensive intensity. Right after that free throw, came in out of their 2-1-2 press and trying to make North Carolina Central play at a different pace.
They speed up Cleveland.
And that's what they want. They want a one-and-done possession there where there is no passing, there is no continuity offense, and from there they can get a turnover.
Dockery got it knocked out of bounds. As we look at Kenny Blakeney. Win total keeps going up. 2 years ago, ended up winning 16 games. Last year took them to the tournament. Towns sets up here to make this a 1-possession game. And that first year, only ended up winning those 4 games. He called Ashley Howard, who was then a head coach at LaSalle, and he said, "What's the first year going to be like?" He said, "You're not going to win."
Yeah.
He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It's just, it takes time to develop." They've developed here in the second half and have scored 8 straight. 2-point game for Dockery and Howard.
Develop a gorgeous app with Fiverr.
And Marcus Dockery, basketball up in the air. Howard dancing for the first time in over 3 decades.
What a time to be alive if you were a Howard Bison fan or alum at this time, to watch them come from what they came from. And I mean, really the rags to riches scenario where these guys really struggled and had a dark period of time of basketball success. And to see Coach Blakeney really do a great job of putting in that formula, that winning formula, for it all to come to fruition there.
And then the hardest part afterwards, you play Kansas in the tournament, you get to kind of recap some of your successes, and then they have end-of-season meetings, and the guys that we showed you earlier, Jordan Woods, Steve Settle, Elijah Hawkins, said, "Hey, we're coming back," and then we're not.
Yeah, exactly, and we talked about it before. I mean, we talked about these guys being diamonds in the rough. You know, these guys that are nobody wanted, you know, and now all of a sudden everybody wants them. And so you got to have that little bit of pettiness to you as well. As back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They're all on me, right? And so understand who made you hot.
And I think Lavelle Moten and Kenny Blakeney feeling some of that.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about Justin Wright, who was their main source of offense for North Carolina Central last year.
Great player for him.
Campbell, pretty good source himself, gets fouled here, but Lavelle Moten told us, "Yeah, I've had conversations with some of my kids, and one of the things I often, stress, no one's going to love you like we love you."
Right, right. And the thing is because when it comes to going to HBCUs, I mean, it's more relationship-based. You're enveloped in that culture. You are loved and celebrated, and I think it's bigger than basketball, and it is in all programs. But I just think that, especially if your circumstance brings you there, those coaches are going to really try their hardest to breathe into you, and I think that's what Lavelle Moten and Coach Blakeney do a great job of, is really just breathing life into those players and building them up and creating a positive environment for them to transition into the real world.
Just saw Manny Azunabor sit down with 3 personal fouls. That's one situation where the portal gave back.
Yes.
They had recruited him at first.
Yeah.
He ended up going to High Point.
There's ebbs and flows to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also get a kid that may have made a mistake at a at an organization that they thought was going to love them, and you go somewhere where you do want to be loved, right? And so it's just.
Did you grow up watching TGIF on ABC?
Absolutely.
Step by step. It'll be better the second time around.
Yeah, like what a theme song. Second time around. Remember that?
Yep. At the amusement park, they made it look so fun. Po' Boy King has been having fun today, although he and his teammates at a tie game as he draws the foul here.
And you see what we talked about, Coach Lavelle Moten really stressing on having positive possessions and stacking those, because if you do not stack them, you give the opportunity for Howard to get themselves back into the game. And they have done that.
So that last foul, Dom Campbell's third. King just under 70% shooter. Said before, came out of Rasheed Wallace's AAU program. Big Sheed in the house today.
Sheed.
One of two there for King. And there he is, standing over in the corner, inconspicuously.
Absolutely, I mean.
Tough to stand out, though, when you have that frame, right?
You can't hide in the shadows, Sheed. We know where you are.
Tough catch for Campbell. It goes back inside. Towns, excellent adjustment.
Towns willed that ball into the basket. I mean, because North Carolina Central had two bodies on him and reaching and clawing and still found a way to put the ball in the basket there.
8 now for Towns, most of the damage in the second half. Penetrating pitch for King. Shot clock inside 15. Cleveland, little acrobatics.
I mean, and you got to think about the hang time that Fred Cleveland had to maintain in order to get that ball up there. I mean, you got to be athletic, man, and he is.
Campbell, and that's big. That's a fourth foul.
That is tough. Tom Campbell being one of the bright spots offensively and defensively for the Bison.
The emotional swings of the start of conference play. Tom Campbell's been one of their best players. Now has 4.
The National Championship, Monday at 7:30.
And recognize how special this post is and who want to be here. I want a coach who's going to match my passion. On the men's basketball side, Kenny Blakeney, definitely one of those. 31 different conference and national titles, though, since he took over as AD. One of those conference titles back in March to get back to the NCAA tournament. But you look at Jet Williams, their football program under Larry Scott, ended up winning the MEAC outright in what was his second year. They have the only HBCU swim team. They won the Northeast Conference in that, won the NEC.
Yeah, I mean, Kerry Davis, I mean, let's just talk about him. He's done a great job, you know, creating a holistic goal, and understood that in order for them to reach that, had to have systems in order and had to have the right coaches to lead those systems.
For more on that story from writer Mia Berry, visit anscape.com/HBCU. North Carolina Central spreading out its points, but much tougher second half. Howard's clamped down.
And Howard is known to be a second half team, a team that, you know, figures out exactly what the team did in the first half and finds a way to make the adjustments in the second.
Harris, body and bucket will go to the line.
And you see there Bryce Harris just imposing his will, having a smaller Harris on him, went right through his chest and finished. That's an I lift move right there. I lift weights, sir. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bryce Harris, quite a jump in his production, doubled his scoring total from last year to this year. And a big reason why they've come back and now have the lead again. Out of Deering, missed the layup at this end. Joshua Strong, tough catch. Dockery set up. Offensive rebound for Towns, and the shot clock back to 20. There's Harris, another tough catch. Right to work. And Cleveland has numbers. And himself to the cup.
Yes, and that is what Central does. They are a blur in the open floor, and when they can do that from their defense leading to the fast break situations, they can win majority of their games.
That was one of the biggest question marks for Lavelle Moulton this year. As Towns steps into this three and misses. Guys who, had complementary roles, what was a year ago. Stepping in and being top scorers. Here's Cleveland with 5 straight.
That was right on time, Matt. We talked about Fred Cleveland Jr. being one of the guys that wasn't even an offensive spec on the board there, but now is one of the key players, and because he is a product of the environment that Coach Lavelle has created for him to be successful.
Averages more points this year than he did minutes last year. Played less than 15 a game, averaging almost 16 now.
Yeah, and that was the thing, too. Coach Moulton went into the portal like everybody else, but
Cleveland heat check there, yeah.
But at the same time, the guys that stuck around, he is rewarding, but he also challenged them to make sure that they were ready for the role.
Dockery, slick spot, and still down. King at this end, couldn't spin it in.
That might be a groin injury right there.
Yeah, and based on Marcus Dockery's reaction, could be.
Yeah.
We don't speculate though.
Oh, yeah, slick spot on the floor there, and if you saw the speed and force that Dockery was taking to get there and try to make a play, I mean, you can only imagine the pain that he's in.
And yeah, that spot is still pretty slick.
Yeah. Let's get some towels on that spot.
I mean, the good news is it's not crazy humid in this building.
No, it's not.
It's cold, obviously, outside.
Yeah.
But we've both been in buildings in the past where,
oh man,
yeah, it's just sweat all over the floor. No matter how many times you wipe it up, guys are tumbling everywhere.
Right.
Can remember being in the pit in New Mexico,
a
couple summers ago, where that was happening.
Oh yeah, that was rough. I mean, but they've got it nicely air conditioned in here. When we were in Howard last year, it was freezing.
I remember it was a little too cold for your liking.
It was too cold, man. Listen, I'm a man of the sun. So being from the South, I endure that. But, hey, listen.
Yet you live in the mountains.
Hey, listen, you got to have a good balance. I like the heat, but I also like my AC.
Second year working with you, the many layers of Jet Williams, and there were a few to Fred Cleveland, too.
Fred Cleveland implementing himself in this second half and just starting with the defensive intensity. You see it, he is hounding.
Joshua Strong having trouble. Dockery standing up on that Howard bench, hopefully feeling better. Towns to Hairston, who came in for Dockery, not going to get a shot off. They turn it over.
That is impressive. North Carolina Central defense right there. 30 seconds of Madison. It started with this Fred Cleveland steal here, where he decided, I'm going to put 10 toes down and defend here and create chaos in 94 feet.
Tripled the scoring average from a year ago, and they find his best friend, J.D. Harris. Dockery back in the game, just as we talked about him going down, but couldn't convert. Largest lead for Central has been 12. Cleveland free throw line trip coming.
That is what Central does. If you do not defend them early, they will get as far as you give them. Paint touches, that's what they do.
Happy New Year from Durham. Resolving maybe to go after this league.
In a facilitating role, but in this second half, turned into a monster and has woke something up, showing his ability to turn defense into offense, get out in the open floor, and knock down the three.
9 second-half points for Fred Cleveland Jr. Comes in as a top 5 scorer in the MEAC. And one of 3 guys at double figures for Lavelle Moton's team today. He and Po Boy King, J.D. Harris, have combined for 36 of the 47. And couldn't have come at a better time. They fueled a 9-0 run in Cleveland at the free throw line.
He did a really good job of quelling Howard's run at the beginning of this second half, because Howard was able to get themselves going based on their system of play and playing in the half court and getting high percentage shots and getting some threes. And now you're seeing Central take the momentum back by being gritty, being physical, playing tenacious defense and getting out in the open floor and playing quick, feisty basketball.
They go a little three-quarter court with Cleveland in the backcourt. Good hard hedge there for P.J. King, or excuse me, Perry Smith Jr. On the kick out there for Strong. They had one it done. Adediri able to clean up the rebound. And on the kick out, Harris, another look.
And that's a beautiful finish from Darius Harris. Started with Fred Cleveland Jr. getting his paint touch, drawing the defense in. Right
and
there.
Harris says, hey, J.D. Harris, I'll see you.
Yeah. Bryce Harris, I mean, not known for his shooting ability, but has taken up the role in the second half of the season and started to show his ability to spread the floor.
Only his 9th made 3, as you say. King can't convert the 17-footer. Okaji, who's one of their energy guys, got the rebound. Harris feeling it again. 6 straight now for him.
We talked to Coach Blakeney about him having this surge of ability to shoot the 3. And he said he's always been able to shoot the 3, but, you know, as bodies have gone down, has been called to do a little bit more.
Now the last 6 for Howard. He's 6 shy of a career high. 20 for Bryce Harris. Good D here. Adediri. Oh boy. Okaji, late whistle.
You see Howard able to get back in by their floor spreading ability, one being Bryce Harris. And if you play that much space off of him, he has to make the defense pay by keeping them honest. And Perry Smith was late to get out on him 2 times, and he has made him pay.
Maybe it's the mustache, but Bryce Harris even looking older. Not just his game.
It's almost handlebars, too. I mean, that means you're Wild Wild West ready, sir.
Speaking of Wild Wild West, here's our Super Tuesday basketball doubleheader. Antonio Reeves, number 6 Kentucky, host Missouri at Rupp Arena, 7 Eastern. And this one, a battle with the big men potentially. Kyle Filipowski, number 14 Duke, against Blake Hinson at Pitt. Both games over on ESPN and the app. Here in Durham, 7-point lead for North Carolina Central. Had been as many as 12. Along with Jet Williams, Matt Martucci, our entire fantastic crew. Opening up MEAC play. Turnover for Howard is the Bison's 12th.
And Howard is accustomed to turning that thing over. They've gotten a little bit better. For a while there, they were around 18 turnovers a game. Have gotten down about 15 now. But, you know, still, you want to make sure that you can take care of the ball and keep the ball away from the other team.
Cleveland put some English on that. Got the body from Bryce Harris. Jet Williams back against the wall here. Depleted roster. Does Howard have another run in them?
I think they're accustomed to this situation. You see there, Fred Cleveland Jr. just creating the contact and really getting himself an opportunity to get to the line where Howard was starting to make a run there, but I think Howard has it in him. I think they have been in high pressure situations where they've had to come from behind before at deeper deficits, and so you just look at their history, they are capable of it.
And what a last few games for Fred Cleveland. Should point out, one of those was against an NAIA school, and
yeah, the 30 ball they put down on St. Andrews, I mean, definitely was good. But then obviously Truett McConnell, where everybody got to eat on that one. But you know, it's what they are doing. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They are winning habits. But the thing that Coach Lavelle Moton wants this team to do is do it on a consistent basis.
Campbell back in the game with 4 fouls, draws contact here.
Yeah, and you saw Marcus Dockery and I think Fred Cleveland Jr. go down at the same time on another wet spot. Got to get that floor right. Oh, that was. Yeah, that time it's J.D. Harris. Yeah, that was J.D. Harris. Yeah, he slipped on a spot. Marcus Dockery slipped on a spot. I mean, it's. Yeah, we get that towel out there.
Yeah, they don't make like a portable dryer, do they? You wheel it out and then you wheel it back in.
I mean, I'm sure people are hip to that. I just don't think nobody's put it out there. You might want to trademark that.
Oh yeah? No, I'm sure somebody has it.
Yeah, but if somebody has, you know, throw that NIL our way.
Yeah, that's another thing and an interesting conversation point as Campbell goes 1 of 2 here. NIL deals, obviously, the MEAC.
They come sparingly, but
correct. So you're up against that if you're Kenny Blakey and Lavelle Moton, but still finding ways to compete at a very high level. Harris had that putback. They batted back out. Shot clock back to 20.
See here, Howard is going back to their 2-3 matchup.
And Cleveland shoots over the top of it.
Right there, Fred Cleveland just took the game in his own hands and said, so we're not going to run any offensive sets. We got about 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Let me just see what it feels like right quick.
Third made 3 for him, give him 18. And this end, Harris continues to be tough on the glass.
It's really tough to stop, especially once he gets ahead of steam and 2 feet planted in the paint.
Well, you hear the kids say, so-and-so's been a dog today.
Oh, yeah.
Bryce Harris has been a dog.
Harris has been, you didn't say it right. He's been a dog.
A dog.
Yeah, there you go. And just being where he needs to be right there. Help side was on the other end, and he got weak side and was able to finish.
It's nice that I work with you. You keep me hip.
I got you, man. Of course.
You and I both have young kids. It'll be in a few years where they realize we really aren't that cool.
No, yeah, like, listen, I think they know. Yeah, I think they got an idea. Like, I'm already getting the looks like, Dad, settle down.
9-point game here after Harris converts. Our producer, Graham Taylor, suggests that they already know. Yeah, you're right. And Harris off the cross.
J.D. Harris, I mean, we talked about his abilities, but one thing that's tough to guard is his mid-range game, and it has to be shown and exploited there because of the 2-3 zone, and so he's just getting to the sweet spots of that 2-3 and making shots.
Dockery steps in, still can't buy one.
And that's uncanny for Marcus Dockery, who's a guy that normally can make contested threes. Here, he's getting a couple of open ones and not finishing.
Now, this is a good spot in the game to have your second largest lead. That's where Central is. It's been as many as 12 for Lavelle Moton and the Eagles. Harris, drop off. Adediri, new largest lead.
J.D. Harris doing a great job of drawing multiple defenders, and Adediri being available for the finish.
9 now for the former walk-on. And they're protecting the nest today, Jed.
Absolutely. Defense leading the offense for the Eagles there. See Harris right here, or Fred Cleveland Jr. knocking down that three. Eagles are after it.
Central up 13 here at Durham. Who's your favorite, Harris?
Man, it's a tough one right now. I mean, I like what both of them are doing. Bryce Harris has been playing inside out, just gritty, tough basketball. Jadarius Harris has been finesse, just getting to his sweet spots, letting the game come to him. I haven't seen him take a bad shot yet.
Well, from a Howard perspective, the vice president is a Howard alum.
Oh,
Kamala Harris. Joshua Strong off the feed from Campbell, who got the offensive board and willed it in.
Dom Campbell has been out for a bit because of the foul trouble, finally able to implement himself in, but was a part of that Howard run before he did get in that foul trouble, where then you saw North Carolina Central able to get themselves going.
Career high 16 for Dom Campbell in his first ever MEAC game. Harris has been huge all day. Wants it again. One and done. Dockery batted that rebound. Towns has been really quiet since the opening minutes of this first half.
Central's done a good job of eating up his space that he is accustomed to using to create offense.
Dockery missed the 17-footer. Race for the basketball. Joshua Strong wins that one on King. Towns on cue, spun it off. It's been held in check today. Well, those two Harrises, J.D. Harris 3 points away from tying a career high, and Bryce Harris 5 away from matching his.
Both of them have had elite games today.
And here's J.D. 21 now for the Eagles, Harris.
Yeah, Harris has put so much pressure on Howard's defense from the perimeter. That time he was able to just get all the way to the basket with no help.
Dockery still unsuccessful from the perimeter. What a tough day.
He's trying to find it. I think it's a little too late for that at this point, and I wish he was shooting like that in the first half.
Jed, he came in averaging 22 points in the last 3 games.
And a lot of that was due to the aggression that he was coming out in the games with.
Cleveland maybe thinking about an early dagger. Dockery, and that's kind of a microcosm of how this has gone. That's an over and back.
You see it. Fred Cleveland Jr., quarterback, trying to put it right in the right place for Po' Boy King to get himself going, but you see Howard is doing everything they can to try to stop any type of run that could happen, and Strong was going to fight to make sure that that wasn't an easy basket for North Carolina Central.
Kenny Blakeney searching for some defense late. Gets Jordan Atkins, the freshman from South Orange, New Jersey, into the game wearing number 20, bottom of your screen. Now in the middle, Harris, an offensive rebound for Perry Smith Jr.
And that's one of those times where you get a shot like that from North Carolina Central, and if you're Howard, you have to solidify the ball.
And we get a whistle and a foul that will send us to the media timeout. 13-point North Carolina Central lead, trying to close.
Coach Blakeney is one of those guys that has always had that fire to him, has been an elite player, but now trying to transition that energy to his players.
And played for Mike Krzyzewski. Lavelle Moten, of course, played here right at his alma mater. There's a banner with that same picture to our right.
And Coach Bell, I mean, listen, you know he can hoop. He's got a statue.
And has talked about trying to get that same sense of urgency into his kids.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that pride, right? Coaching at your alma mater you want to make sure that those guys wear the badge proud. And when they don't, he takes it to heart more than some coaches do. All right, like sometimes you can see other coaches, we'll get over it. This is great, a learning experience. But for Coach Moten, because of the sense of urgency, the sense of pride, and how he played when he was here at North Carolina Central, he can only see one standard, and he will not negotiate with it.
And connections to both the Duke and Carolina programs for LaVelle Moten. Actually told me that in terms of when he and Kenny Blakeney first met, as Towns long of this three, guess who introduced him? Grant Hill.
Nice. I'm sure, obviously the basketball community here in the RDU area is tight. And, if you can hoop, you're going to get invited to those open gyms. And so I am more than certain they have crossed paths.
Cool enough on Tobacco Road. Rivalries so intense that they even happen in the summertime. Carolina guys and Duke guys come over and play pickup against one another late night in the Dean Dome.
Oh, the pickup games are elite, and I was able to play in a handful of those back in my day as well, where you would just go find the run, and the best run was either at NC State, Duke, or Carolina. And you get different styles of run. At NC State, it's more iso ball. At Carolina, it's a lot of open floor and running, and at Duke, it was extremely technical, a lot of talking, and one time I got a charge taken on me out there in pickup.
Oh boy, King taking care of a couple free throws. Dockery lost this basketball. Adediri. And there's some punctuation late.
Adediri has provided a great spark off the bench, the energy. And we talked about a guy that's been under the LaVelle Moten system for a long time here, knows exactly what coach demands out of his players, and he's able to see the floor because of that.
These two teams won't meet again for over a month at the Burr.
And that's the thing, too. If Howard is healthy, they are a terrifying team. When you got Isaiah Warfield out and you've got Shai Odom out, it makes it tough for them to get any offensive circulation.
Last gasp here. Campbell will go to the line after getting the bucket. Quite a women's college basketball triple header that we have for you tomorrow afternoon. All starts 1 Eastern on ESPN. Number 1 South Carolina hosting Mississippi State. Then Angel Reese, number 7 LSU, take on Ole Miss. And cap in the afternoon on ESPN2, North Carolina, number 16 Notre Dame. It's South Bend. Here in Durham, all North Carolina Central.
We've been able to see Central start to run away with it the last, 5 minutes of this game. And you also got to see Howard go ice cold from the perimeter.
And Harris can't buy another one. And to your point, Jet, as it stays at this end, this crowd doesn't like it. Howard came in as the top three-point shooting team in the MEAC. And they flipped the call. 37% though from the outside. They have only 5 made threes today, held under 20.
Yeah, and you understand why Central puts a point of emphasis with the basketball of today. Everybody wants to shoot threes, and so if you can take that off the table, protect the basket, it will be very difficult to score on.
And honestly, game really turned when Dom Campbell got into foul trouble.
It really did, because you saw a spark from Howard where they were able to play balanced offense, whether it was inside with Dom Campbell or outside from the perimeter. And Seth Towns was able to knock down the three, and so you're starting to see some momentum going their way. Bryce Harris was able to knock down some threes, and so after that run after Dom Campbell goes out the game, the run goes away, and Central's able to get themselves going.
A game like this has not happened much since Kenny Blakeney took over in terms of this series. Howard and North Carolina Central, the deficit. That first year when they won 4 games, got beat by 15.
Yeah.
But outside of that, most of the results either 10 or inside of it.
Well, I think that Coach Blakeney has a winning formula and knows what it takes. But there's going to be some ugly stages to it. It's not going to be an instant thing, especially in HBCUs where you just can't bring in everything. So you have to build and grow and develop. And what you're seeing is, you know, a team that is depleted right now due to injury and other things, but are going to find a way because the formula works. And we've seen that with the conference championship last year.
And no Shy Odom today, no Liberty transfer Isaiah Warfield, who had really grown into their starting point guard.
Exactly. No Jelani Williams, who is out for the season. I mean, you've got some guys that can really impact the game that are out, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jelani Williams, unfortunately, what a young man who transferred from Penn, actually ended up hitting the game-clinching shot last year in the MEAC tournament title game. But one of the injuries that plagued him was a hand at one point or another, had to have some screws inserted.
Yeah.
And it's actually come back from talking to Kenny Blakeney, and he's out for the year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was there on the injury that happened out in Vegas, and you hate to lose a guy like Jelani Williams because of, it's not just his ability to score the ball, it is his toughness that he brings to the table. It's kind of like the lifeblood of that team that provided that spark when the back was against the wall. You got to have that wolf that'll come out swinging, and he was the one that always came out swinging and brought the rest with him. And so, you know, when you lose a guy like him, it's hard to kind of restructure and find that identity again. And they're going to be able to do it because, like we talked about before, Coach Blakeney does a great job of establishing that system. And so somebody's got to step into that role.
They have their own social justice initiatives on the road, aided what was Dane's Waffle and Chicken Shack last night locally. Want to support black-owned businesses.
Right. I told him about this seafood restaurant right up the road called Show Enough Seafood. I told him, I said, you got to go there too. And we were like, we already got one coming. So I was like, all right, just letting you know.
Jordan Atkins couldn't get the ball in bounds. 5-second violation and the turnover for Howard. And told us they'll actually practice at Duke tomorrow before getting on the road to go play South Carolina State.
And South Carolina State is also one of those teams in the MEAC that normally at the bottom, but has revamped and had a really good non-conference play this year.
It might be a little harder than it's been in the past. I mean, it's always hard.
Like Coach Moten said, 8 dogs fighting for one bone. It's going to be a great conference.
Norfolk State trying to figure out life without Joe Bryant this year.
Yeah, but hey, I'm going to tell you right now, they got a chip on their shoulder, especially from last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out hot this year. Maryland Eastern Shore's got some dogs on their team, a great offensive system, play the spread, NBA style, puts a lot of conflict on defenses. They're good.
And they have the reigning league player of the week. Cleveland extending here, and
that is
one more.
Effective. I love it.
24, that caps his day. Miles Stewart will go to the line for one last gasp here.
I saw him. We got him on camera.
Stewart off target. And the start of MEAC play opens up the way the Eagles want it to. And their all-time winningest coach has another one. LaVelle Moten in North Carolina Central. They end up dominating late second half. and take care of what's a 19-point win to open up MEAC play with a victory. They go to 9-7 on the year, 1-0 in conference. Howard down to 5-11, and a tough 2-7 on the road this year.
Yeah, it's been tough for Howard, but shout out to Central, who's done a really good job of just establishing their identity. And most people would say that they're down on talent due to not a lot of people knowing what they have on their roster. But because Coach Lavelle Moten has established such a bulletproof system, it's really difficult to play against this team, especially here at home. And so they did a great job of just showing their defensive ability to impact the game with that. Get out in the open floor, run the floor, make the defense have to work, and then run their offensive sets to perfection.
And guys settling into roles. J.D. Harris, Fred Cleveland were a couple of them this afternoon. Their head coach has to be pleased. Lavelle Moten joins us when we return. 19-point win for North Carolina Central. Central to open up MEAC play the way that they want to. Matt Martucci, the former UNC Asheville star Jed Williams, and the man of the last couple hours, Lavelle Moten, the all-time winningest coach at North Carolina Central. Congratulations, Coach. Another one in the books here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Can you hear me?
And let's...
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Coach, let's talk about how you guys were able to impact the game from the defensive end of the floor and what that was able to do, like for you guys to do what you like to do, which is get out and run. And that leads to easy offense, paint touches, ball movement, and how that started for you guys.
It was almost like you was in our locker room, just reiterating that game plan. You know, we wanted to defend, and, you know, we got 10 new guys, man. They don't know our concepts and ideas, and so we try to build and gradually, you know, hold them accountable. But now it's conference time, so it's at least a margin for error. And this is a really good basketball team. Defending MEAC champions, got a lot of respect for those guys. We wanted to get stops, and, you know, they bigger and stronger, but I don't think they were faster. So we wanted to get stops and be able to get some outlet passes and, you know, get some paint touches and, you know, create some threes from there. I thought early we got threes, but they were around the horn threes. That's not our type of threes. We got to get paint touches and share it and drive and kick and get the defense in rotation. And we were doing that. And I thought our guards was outstanding, particularly J.D. and Fred Cleveland.
Yeah. And speaking of perimeter defense, you guys are known for that. You guys did a great job of Marcus Dockery and Seth Towns. Talk about the point of emphasis going into this game, knowing that they're the offensive bright spots for Howard.
Man, like we you know, it's kind of like football, right? You try to take your best players away and make someone else do something. You know, I got a tremendous amount of respect for Towns, and, you know, he's a grown man. He's been in college for quite a while, and so you're not going to throw anything at him that he hasn't seen before. And Dockery can just shoot the cover off the basketball. We wanted to make him work and just tag him through everything. And, you know, that opened up some doors for Bryce Harris. But, you know, we got a healthy amount of respect for him. But when Dockery scores, he tends to kill you quickly, right? The three balls, they just add up. You look up, he hit three, it's a 9-0 run. And so I'd rather get killed slowly than quickly. I hate to be using those analogies on TV. I'm sorry, everybody, but you know, that's what I meant. So our guys did a great job. Hats off to them. They followed the game plan, and we didn't want anything easy for Dockery or Townsend, so we made it tough on them. I think between both of them, they were 4 for 24.
Fred Cleveland Jr., right? Last year, me and Matt, we called him.
Yep.
Didn't play much, right?
Right.
But you believed in this kid, and now we are seeing this guy play at a level that no one would have expected.
Right. Man, he's a joy to coach, man. He's a small guy, right? But, you know, he's been small all his life, and they got a different complex about him. And, you know, generally in our program, the second year, people, just the trajectory of their development, you can kind of see that. And so we knew he was going to be really good. And he came in and he started off rather slow, but I just told him, look, just be aggressive, right? Look for your shot, look for others, and, you know, just go out there and run the show, man. Just do what you've done your entire life. And I try to give my guards an awful lot of freedom. And, you know, it's easier to say whoa than sick 'em, right? So I thought in the first half he was just kind of understanding the game and seeing what defense they was going to throw at him. And then once he read it and settled down, it opened it for him on the perimeter. But I thought his ability to get out in transition really sparked us.
How big was this one, Coach, just for the purpose of confidence, with a group that's still trying to figure out some of their roles? Obviously, Fred and JD pretty well plugged into what you expect of them, but some other guys still figuring some things out.
Yeah, and I got to do a better job. You know, I got to get some more depth. I got to get some more minutes for these guys. You know, there's an awful lot of minutes. So I just got to find it. So everyone is huge right now. You know, this is the day of NIL and, you know, transfer portal. So, you know, just having a newfound team where you're trying to figure them out and they're trying to figure you out. Such is life now. This is not your great-grandfather's NCAA basketball team anymore. So you just got to kind of figure it out and go with the flow, and whoever's got the hot hand or doing what they're supposed to do, you just ride them for that moment and, you know, let it be.
Well, call it the first hurdle of what's 16. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Appreciate you guys coming in.
And Lavelle Moten, his team today taking care of it thanks to the J.D. Harris show on one side and Bryce Harris on the other side. 21 apiece in what ended up being a Harris type of day. As North Carolina Central moves to 1-0 in MEAC play, 9-7 what is overall. And Jet Williams, Bryce Harris was tough here in the second half, but North Carolina Central just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, his defense really led the offense for him. Did everything that he could within his system, showing his ability to knock down the three today because that's what the defense gave him. But Jadarius Harris, I mean, what a smooth game for him. Toe to the line three, we always knew he could do that, but then showed his ability to spread the floor through the mid-range as well and get all the way to the basket. And it was 3 levels for him, and because of his skill, he's going to be able to do that in the MEAC on a consistent clip.
Well, and what a big one for North Carolina Central. They bring Norfolk State here.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey,
the
that's
runner-up
gonna be
in
tough.
the league. Runner-up in the league coming in Monday.
And they got a chip on their shoulder, too. And you can definitely tell the way Norfolk State went out in the MEAC championship last year against Howard. You can definitely see them wanting to come in and play against a team that just beat the reigning champs and try to give them something to think about.
Yeah, quick turnaround. I'm sure they'll be ready for it, though. That will do it for us here from the campus of North Carolina Central at McDougald-McClendon Arena. Final score, once again, North Carolina Central with what ends up being the 19-point win, 73-54. All games airing on the ESPN Network, streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. Coming up next, Tulane in North Texas from the Super Pit in Denton. For John Williams and our entire fantastic crew, Matt Martucci saying so long. And let's head to Texas.